If being anxious paralyzes you and stops you engaging, it's not going to solve any problems. It'll make them worse. The COVID pandemic brought many changes on many dimensions to all of our lives. I think it made us all recognize how interconnected we are in the world, how something that started in China could be everywhere so quickly. And it also taught us that we can change our behavior very, very rapidly. We all did things very differently because of the pandemic, things that we never thought we would be able to do. And of course, the big question now is, what's next? Do we learn from this to do things differently in the future, or do we just revert to what was before? We should have done much more to stop it. We still haven't learned that lesson. The second is, I think we must recognize our interdependency. We are only as strong as our weakest links in our systems, and we need to be much more aware of that. Our health systems particularly have been very vulnerable and have been shown to be. I think we recognize that we can change our behavior. So for climate change, for example, we know that we must change our behavior radically. We know we can do it. What's most important is that we don't go back to business as usual, because it's that business as usual that brought us the pandemic. Now we need to do things differently. So we have a global system now. We failed to manage the risks inherent in it, and that is leading, I think, to very strong pushback. The financial crisis, now the pandemic, rising inequality, climate change, these are all spillovers of the acceleration of globalization. My own view is that we're at a crossroads, that we need to understand that we are interdependent and that globalization needs to be better managed. China needs the world to work with it, and the world needs China to work with it. It has to be part of a global system. It has to be part of any solution to the big challenges we face. At the same time, China is also one of the reasons the world has grown so successfully. One of the reasons we have so many cheap products, consumer products, etc. So it's a mutual interdependency. So I think it's more and more important. And the idea that you would enter into a conflict and try and stop Chinese growth, slow it down, to me is a very bad idea, because you would slow yourself down and you would stop problem solving. We need to recognize we have some fundamental differences, but that is not, in my view, a reason to stop engaging with China. That will not solve the problems of China, and it will not solve our own problems. So I understand why people are anxious. There's a big risk to jobs. There's a risk now with energy prices, etc. But if being anxious paralyzes you and stops you engaging, it's not going to solve any problems. It'll make them worse. So my main message to people is be aware of the challenges and be part of the movement to overcome them. We need to invest to create a better world. If we want to move to zero carbon emissions and reduce our greenhouse gases, that's a massive investment. It's new equipment, it's new infrastructure, it's new jobs. That's growth. If we want to improve our health systems, if we want to improve our education systems, we need to invest. And the second is that we are condemning much of the world, maybe half the world, to poverty. I think degrowth for those reasons is a bad idea.